Good morning. Welcome to the DanOCan YouTube channel. It is really dark because it is just a hair before 5:30 in the morning. You can see we've got Bella the bowler hooked up behind Old Red there, and we are setting out on a massive road trip. Well, okay, not massive. We're setting out on a decent road trip. We are on our way into Saskatchewan to check out a number of ghost towns, grain elevators, and any other interesting sights we find along the way. So let me give you a little breakdown to try and make it a little more interesting. We're going to do all this navigation using old school paper maps. So I have written out a list of about 14 places that I hope to visit on this trip. Not sure if we'll make them to all of them or not how it's going to play out, we don't know. But yes, 14 places. I put them on a list. Emily's going to be doing all the navigation using paper maps, and I'm just going to drive along and we'll see how this plays out. But we figured it'd be a nice little twist versus just navigating with GPS. Old school 1970s style road trip in our 1978 bowler. Let's get rolling. There we go. First stop of the trip. We are at the Esso at Bassano, Alberta. You can see the sun has started to come blasting up over the horizon, so that'll be a bit of a pain for us for the next few minutes or so while we drive into the sun. Pretty expensive gas relative to what's in Calgary, $1.36.9 per liter, but I didn't want a chance getting all the way into Red Cliff Medicine Hat, so we're just stopping here. This is one of our typical stops on the Trans-Canada Highway. We're not really doing any exploration on the Alberta side of the border. We're going to wait till we get into Saskatchewan to check things out. So that's why we're just kind of sticking to the highway and hammer down, get as many miles as we can here while we are kind of still in familiar territory, and we'll save the exploration for when we get into southern Saskatchewan, and that's when Emily will break out the maps and really pick routes for us and see where we end up. Yeah, a little trip update here. We are about 400 kilometers into our drive so far, and we have finally made it to Saskatchewan. So we've seen a little bit of change in the weather since our last stop. When we first pulled over at Bassano, it was just around the freezing point. It's about, says it's about 12 or 14 degrees Celsius right now here in Saskatchewan, but we're hitting a little bit of wind, which whenever you tow an RV, you always end up hitting the wind, and it always blows against you as well. It's a very popular stopping spot for people, as you can tell from the graffiti and messages and stickers and things that have been left behind here from different people.
So we've decided to do something a little old school for our Sask Thanksgiving road trip, and we're going to navigate with paper maps. These maps I like especially because, let me show you, I got these when my parents moved to Saskatchewan and I started doing some exploration, and I marked a bunch of places on them with pink highlighters when I would speak with people in the ghost town community and find out some of the really cool places to see. And then once I had actually been to them, I would highlight them in blue. So as you can see, the southern part of Sask, there's a lot of pink without blue. I'm not sure how well I've kept up with the blue, but this is a lot of new uncharted territory for us. And instead of relying on cell signal in the middle of nowhere, we thought it might be fun to actually use these old maps to navigate. So since we've just crossed the border into Sask, we're just coming on to the map here. So I'm going to be navigating and following along. So here we are, we're cruising through Saskatchewan. Give you a shout video here. It's a beautiful fall day. Some pretty prairie scenery. We're still on the Trans-Canada Highway. So a quick map check here. I don't know if you can see it real good. We just passed Tompkins here. We're going to stay on the Trans-Canada until Gull Lake, and that's when we're going to head south down to Shaunavon. And this Highway 13 is pretty much ghost town heaven. It's known as the Redcoat Highway, and there's quite a few neat ghost towns along there, so that's where we're headed. So here we are on Highway 13, the Redcoat Trail. That's a really neat trestle there off to the right.
It's an old highway bridge.
Or an old highway bridge. It is pretty desolate out here. Not a lot of towns. The towns that are here either have one or two people or are complete ghost towns. It's just quite arid, and the large tracts of land made it easier to be gobbled up by mega farms, to be run from afar. So there are farms and things out here, a lot of cattle, a lot of beautiful cropland, but not a lot of civilization.
So here we are, having now completed almost 570 kilometers of driving. We've reached our first true ghost town on this trip. This is Admiral, Saskatchewan. So thanks to the miracle of internet and still having cell phone service here, I was able to determine that Admiral was incorporated as a village in 1914, and it was dissolved into just a special area in 2016. So quite recently it lost its village status. According to the 2016 census, the population of Admiral remains at about 20 people. So that was 9 years ago. Probably still about the same. So it looks like this concrete pillar here was probably once a visible gas pump. This was an obvious looking service station. And Emily was just reading on the false front of this building here. This was some sort of implement dealer, sales and service. Looks like a Ford logo on the right side there of the false front. Classic Prairie architecture. There's a neat building there on the left. Clearly a former bank. Has now been converted into a private residence. And up on the hill, off to our right here, there's 3 churches. It looks like at least one of them was also converted into a private residence. This looks like an old chemical wagon. Nicely protected here. This is pretty cool. Overgrown sidewalk leading up to an old water pump. How many residents over the years trod this path to get their water? Modern post office. Still has a classic old box on the outside though. Building is new. The Happy Hearts Club. And the old co-op. we will swing by and take a look at the grain elevator on our way out of town. Get a look here at another former service station and some of the churches here in town and up on the hill. So there's a look at those. Zoom in a little bit there and get you a look at those two churches and that one up on the hill. It's a pretty neat little town for being so small. Get a better look at the grain elevator. It's not the most photogenic grain elevator in the province of Saskatchewan, but the fact that it still exists means a lot. So I think on this trip, I mean, we passed the elevator in Dunmore, Alberta. It's not very photogenic. We passed two elevators in Gull Lake. One is in pretty bad shape. The other one is in also pretty bad shape. So I didn't really stop and show you those, but I have pictures of those from before. So technically, this is grain elevator number 4 on this trip. And now we come to the Cadillac of towns, literally. This is Cadillac, Saskatchewan. And yes, you can see they've actually leaned into the car theme as we go past Hudson Street. And this is Buick Street, complete with antique cars on the signs. Cruising down Center Street, an old church that's now a museum. Fire hall here is getting some, looks like a new roof and some renovations. Couple more buildings on this side. That one looks like an old service station. This one had some other kind of sign on the front that's now missing. And over on the left side, shooting through the windshield, so it's probably not the best view, but again, we have an old bank. And the Cadillac Hotel, which is now closed. And if you remember when we did the Great Beater Challenge, 4 years ago now? That hotel was still open, and in fact, we stopped in there and got a beer. Up and over the tracks here. We're going to go get a closer look at the grain elevator. This one here in Cadillac, you know, you can't really see it well off in the distance there, is a classic Saskatchewan pool elevator. And I know on the left side, it still has a pretty decent pool logo. I don't know what it looks like on this side. We'll find out when we get there. So here we go. We got this collapsed building on the right, the elevator on the left. That classic Saskatchewan look in that Saskatchewan pool brown color. It's really nice.
Pretty interesting little village. It's nestled in the southwest of the province, and it got its name from Cadillac, Michigan. It was officially incorporated in 1914, and back in the day, a bunch of French-speaking settlers rolled in around the 1910s. Nowadays, it's a tiny community with a population around 100 or so. It sits right at the crossroads of Highway 13 and Highway 4, and it's got a little bit of that old prairie charm if you're ever in the mood to dive into some local history.
Well, we have made it to our next stop. This is Ponteix, Saskatchewan. Now, I imagine the French people who watch may have a different pronunciation, but it seems the locals call it Ponteix, so we're going to go with Ponteix. And this is probably going to be our lunch stop. It's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now. And I mean, what a better spot for lunch then not next to just one, but if I spin around, next to 2 grain elevators. And despite a fair amount of wind here, I think I'm actually going to throw DanOCan up for the first time on this trip and take a look. So this is what, grain elevator 8 and 9 on this trip now. Dunmore, 2 in Gull Lake is 3. Then Admiral was 4, Cadillac was 5. Maybe this is 6 and 7. I've lost track. So here we go, Main Street, Ponteix. We see a food market, a operating bumper-to-bumper store. Probably the entire graduating class of 2025 on the pole. No, there's a couple more.
There's quite a few of them, actually.
Yeah. Ooh, the original muffler shop. That's a great old service station there with the cornered glass. A few more buildings here. Splitter's Bar and Grill. Looks like a classic Prairie hotel that's undergone a few renovations. Yeah, this is a happening little town. There's more here than what I remember, because I know I have been here before. I just don't remember exactly what year it was, and I can't really stop to look up things on the phone. I could look up my previous pictures, but I'll bet you it's been at least 10 years. We've pulled off Highway 13 again, and we are coming into Aneroid. Neither of us remembered that Aneroid actually has a grain elevator, believe it or not. Old baseball diamond there. There you see Aneroid 1913, 100 years back in 2023. Or 2013, sorry. Can't do math. Been a long day on the road. Let's go cruise Main Street here. Old building there, post office. You can see it's still quite windy here. On the other side, looks like a former community hall. This must have been their fire station at one point, with the little bell in front and tiny little bay. Church here coming up on the right. Get past those trees, you'll be able to get a better view of that. Beautiful old building. And the Aneroid schoolhouse. I just had to slow down as I come around the corner to see if there's a spot to turn around up here. Old standpipe with the town name on it. Doesn't look like there's any activity at the schoolhouse today. There is some people who purchased it and are actively renovating it, so I was kind of hoping they might be there today. Get you a good look at that standpipe. Just coming back down the other side here. Get another look at the schoolhouse through the trees. Pretty neat little town. You can certainly see it is starting to cloud up a little bit compared to some of the earlier things we were seeing or earlier in the day. For some reason my microphone's not connecting, but we'll drive by the elevator here. Unfortunately, the sun's on the wrong side, so not going to be the best look at it for you, but add another grain elevator to our list on this trip. So Emily's grabbing a photo there of the Redcoat Inn. It says it's even open. This is Hazenmore. We are still just driving along Highway 13. I do remember having a photo of that Redcoat Inn sign, so we have been here before. I just didn't remember this at all. Still looks like there's a fair amount happening at the co-op. And so yeah, signs of life here. Little house for sale on the corner there. If you want to talk to Mike Boychuk, he can hook you up. Old church here on the left. Back on the pavement and back on the road. I've actually been really impressed so far with the quality of the pavement. We often joke that Saskatchewan highways, their paved highways, are worse than Alberta's gravel roads, but this stretch, especially of Highway 13, seems to be quite nice. And this is a very Saskatchewan moment, especially back in the days where, you leave one town, like we just pulled out of Hazenmore, and you can already see the elevators of Kincaid on the horizon. And back in the day when all these little towns had at least one, if not multiple elevators, you really could just navigate, by going elevator to elevator, and you always knew where you were. So we knew immediately without even, we had to look at the map to remember the name of the town, but we knew immediately there was going to be another settlement right up here, and this is going to be Kincaid. Gross Electric celebrating 10 years of reliable quality and service. Too bad they've been in business for 15. Those first 5 were pretty grim. That was a joke. Well, some businesses still operating here, but of course what caught our attention from way back on the highway are the grain elevators. We have a pool here closer, and based on the orange color, I'm going to say that was a Pioneer in the background. And we've seen a fair amount of this at different places too, where there's oil cars stacked up here where you would expect to see grain cars. So this rail line must be used heavily for oil now more than anything. There's a cool view there of the elevator in the side view mirror. Spring-loaded frog and whale in the playground here. Those are super cute. So easily amused, but still, they're cute. A little food store here.
St. Brand is the one in Ponteix.
Yeah, we've seen a Scully food before. Post office. Oh, this building here on the corner, that is gold. If there's nobody coming, I'm going to stop so we can get a photo of that. The Harper's Hardware building looks amazing.
Oh, it says it's a museum now.
Oh, it says museum. Okay. And these will get this one too right here. Good old documentation shot, because you never know when these buildings are going to go away.
That's a full bank.
Yeah, wow. That is a great building. And yeah, this bank here on the corner, or former bank of Center and Dominion Avenue. So we have now left Highway 13, the Red Coat Trail. I don't know if I ever actually explained why it's called the Red Coat Trail, but basically it follows the path that the Northwest Mounted Police used when they came out west to crush the whiskey trade. So it's named for the Northwest Mounted Police, and we're just coming up to our next town here just south of the Red Coat Trail. So not sure if it's Meyronne or Meyronne. We're going to call it Meyronne for purposes of our video. Neither of us have been here before, but we both had it on our individual maps, so we obviously heard about it at some point in some context. And now we're going to see what's here. Looks pretty small. Looks like some houses here on this side. I think it's safe to call that one abandoned. Looks like a community center on the left. Another one of those chemical fire wagons like we saw in Admiral. Sitting there. This is a neat old building with the collapsing roof. Maybe that's what we had seen from people in posting online about. And cute little post office. I'm just going to pull over and we'll grab some photos while we're here. But that looks like Meyronne, Saskatchewan. Welcome to Ferland, Saskatchewan. We got a abandoned hockey rink over there. Site of McDonald Creek School from 1941 to 1966. Obviously long gone now. It's just an empty field. And we have this church over here on the left that from a distance looked like it was actually a grain elevator, but ooh, that's a steep climb. Almost needed four-wheel drive to get up there with the trailer behind us. Wow, what a neat building. Emily's going to get us a better photo than the one I took. Mabel gets very anxious as soon as anyone leaves the vehicle. I'm going to start turning around here in this nice open parking lot. Yeah, this looks like what was the main street. I'm not sure how big of a community this ever was, or if this is about as big as it made it, but neither of us had been here before, and we both had it marked on our maps, so makes it worth a quick detour to see. I don't know if that's a fire hall over there. They have a windsock. Ferland Hall. As Emily said, I don't know if it was on camera or not, another French-Canadian community for sure here. That's going to do it for Ferland. Not much here, but a couple interesting buildings and that neat church, so... Alright, we're heading back east again. We're now on Highway 18, and our next stop's going to be McCord. And coming into McCord, and we actually have to slow down and let somebody go by. Oh, lots of traffic here. Saskatchewan traffic jam. Established 1928, a little bit later than most of the towns we've been seeing so far. But a few more signs of life here. Looks like some interesting buildings coming up on the left. And of course the grain elevator further down the road there is the true highlight. Yeah, I saw the sign out on the main road about
depot.
Yeah, the rail station is apparently now a museum, so that's kind of cool. Obviously not open, but that's too bad. Oh, McCord. I remember this. There's something I want to do a shot of here. We'll get to that in a bit. For now, let's go check out the grain elevator and then work our way back. Okay, so as we pull back into town, I will sort of explain. I was looking through some archival photos of Saskatchewan ghost towns, and McCord, there's actually a photo of this main street back when it was thriving, and about the only building, well, there's two buildings in the photo that still remain from today, and one is the store here at the corner, and then the other one is the church at the end of the street. So I'm going to pull over into the little museum parking area over here so we can kind of get some shots. Plus I want to get some photos of that old depot. So we're going to just pull here. But yes, the McCord Corner Grocery is the only building that was still visible. And then you can't really see the church way down the end of the street there because behind the trees, but it was still visible in the photo too. I think the photo is from 1952. So here we go. We're pulling into Glentworth. Not sure what all's happening in this town. I got somebody right behind me, so I'm going to have to turn off here and then we'll come back and get a picture of the grain elevator. So here we go. Looks like Main Street up here around this corner. Glentworth Country Store.
Bowling lanes.
Oh, wow. Horse at the end of the road. Waverly Fire Department. Ooh, church. Down at the end of this main street. The Royal Hotel.
Still open.
Yeah. Neat little setup, some neat places. Municipal office. Very cool. We have about less than an hour till sunset right now, so we're kind of racing the clock a little bit, or racing the sun more accurately. The clock is not our enemy today. Yeah, this is nice. I can get a shot of the grain elevator here. Across the ball diamond, some wispy clouds in the background. That should make for a nice photo. Okay, so we have arrived in Fir Mountain. Off in the distance there's a fairly large abandoned school and abandoned house here with a barn. Yeah, that's very cool.
Water pump was neat.
Yeah, water pump right in the middle of town. This looks like about the only occupied place. And
It's a post office.
oh, that's the post office. Wow. Okay, I'll have to get a photo of that before we leave town. But that is like it.
This town reminds me of Perryville, Alberta.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very similar feel.
Yeah. Fir Mountain Co-op Hall. The town pump, 1928, according to the sign there.
That school is massive.
Yeah, there's that school up on the hillside. Super windy here. What a neat little town, though. And that right there has to be one of the neatest post offices I've seen this side of Monitor, Alberta. That's very cool. Get you another look at that barn here and the old school up in the background there. That's pretty cool there. The town pump still sitting right in the middle of Main Street.
I wonder if it works.
Yeah, I don't know if it works or not. Huh. But nothing here but the ghosts. I think we will move on and see if we can get to Wood Mountain before sunset and then see if there's any place there to kind of set up camp for the night. Now I'm sure it's not going to come through on camera as well as it is in person, but the sun just dipped below the clouds and is still just barely above the horizon, and this is like true golden hour light. Like the scenery out here, the rolling hills, it's just bathed in the most perfect light right now. Like, look at this, where we're coming up on top of this hill. Like, that is incredible. Oh, and look at that. There's actually another person out here. First one we've seen in a while. So we are pulling into Wood Mountain. Now, Wood Mountain used to have an extremely photogenic elevator that we lost a few years back, and it shall forever be one of my I can't believe I didn't get to see it grain elevators. Probably one of my biggest grain elevator regrets. But the nice thing is that it does still exist in a National Film Board documentary that was filmed here, I believe in about 1980. So I will try and insert a couple clips of it here. But yeah, this would have been an absolutely amazing place to see a grain elevator back in the day. Okay, check out these two glorious buildings. And if I can adjust the exposure, the amazing sky behind them. But wow, that is classic Saskatchewan ghost town right there. And that beautiful sunset in behind. Fantastic. I just wish we had a place we could actually figure out where we're going to stop for the night. But for now, we're just enjoying the scene. So with the sun setting on the horizon, that is pretty much going to wrap it up for day one of our ghost town grain elevator tour here in Saskatchewan. I'm going to give you a quick shot of where we decided to camp for the night. So this looks like a RM, rural municipality, for those not from Saskatchewan. Looks like one of their yards. So we're not near anybody from a residential perspective, and we just kind of pulled off the side of the road here. There's the road. We just parked in here. We figure we're out of the way. We don't appear to be blocking access to anything, so we should be good in that regard. And if we do need to leave in a hurry to facilitate, all I did was put some blocks under the front to level us front to back. We're up on our jack on this side to level side to side. So if we need to move for whatever reason, it's really easy to just simply pull those jacks up, turn off the water heater, and roll back out the door. And you can see we're parked not quite in the shadows of that abandoned hotel and those neat buildings along the main street of Wood Mountain. But like I said, we just tried to find a spot out of the way where we won't bother anybody. So should be good, I hope, for the evening, and then we will get on the road first thing in the morning. So that should do it for day one. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in part 2 tomorrow.